Today on Unfiltered, we have the PreSonus Revelator.
That's right, the Revelator's back, but now it's not a microphone this time.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pixel Pro Audio. This is Unfiltered. I am Tay, and this is Cal with me today. We are around the drum to talk about PreSonus's announcement of the new Revelator io24 2-channel USB-C interface. It is brand new, and we are going to have sound samples. A little later, we'll show you what it can do. We'll show you some of the user interface features of it. But you guys have heard the Revelator name before, and that's because earlier this year, right, they came out with the Revelator USB condenser microphone, and that had all the bells and whistles of DSP in it too. But now PreSonus has come out with an interface.
Which is what I was thinking right away when they came out with the microphone was, well, where does this lead?
Right.
It was interesting to see that they brought Fat Channel onto a USB mic, thinking like, this would make a lot of sense to be in an interface, in a 2-channel interface. And look what they've gone and done, that very thing.
So is the Revelator, is there going to be more of this, or are they going to stop at the 2-channel? Well, hold your thought. But could this be, and we want your comments below on this, is this the new standard for podcasting or gaming? Do you think they'll stop here?
I like what this certainly means right now is that they've brought their Studio One effects and plugins into an interface. That we started with a microphone, which was a very good start, that we now are on an interface that has the functions of Studio One without necessarily needing to be inside of a DAW. And I think looking ahead, they could have a few more tricks up their sleeve looking ahead. But right now, as it is, as a podcasting interface, as a streaming interface, as a sort of multi-purpose on-the-fly interface without needing all the tricks of being in a computer, so far from what I've seen, it's pretty cool.
It is. Like it's you could take this with you. This is a desktop unit interface.
Yeah.
Or I think it's great for someone that just wants to get started. They just want to plug something in, put some mics on, and go. And if you have, if you're doing a stream or a Skype call, like this makes it so easy.
I think this really saves having to do a lot of clicks if you want to make a change. If we're switching from a vocalist to a guitar player or switching styles from podcasting to streaming, this takes a lot of the clicking out of it and working through submenus and scroll wheels. You can set this up and then just sort of go through your presets. And that's why I feel like this fits those podcasting streaming purposes.
And for those of you who do know what you're kind of doing with your dynamics, that's okay because you have more control with it in the user interface. Right now, we're using the Revelator io24, but Cal's going to show us how to get this thing up and running.
So the first thing we have to do is download Universal Control, which we can just do that off of PreSonus's website. It's real quick, real easy. So now we're in the Revelator's user interface, and you can see our 2 main input channels here, our loopback channels here, and our reverb channel, which now has its controls just right up here, and we have the different options for different sizes of rooms. You'll see right away we get our 2 presets per channel. If I switch over to looking at channel 2, you can see these are different now, just because I've had them set up that way. So if we go back to channel 1, where I'm at, you can see now I can switch between different options with this wheel, or just click up here and I get a whole list, and we have a whole bunch of empty ones so you can create your own. Just off to the side here, we have our Fat Channel display, which shows us a really simplified version that helps you get going really quick. If you want a more complex version, we can come all the way up here, and now we're looking at what Studio One users may recognize as the Fat Channel interface that you'd see in Studio One. So if you want full control, you just come up here and enter that window. But for something more simplistic, right to the point, you can just use these presets here. Now, what you may notice is on channel 1, we have, so if I come over to channel 2, something's missing now. If I come back to channel 1, we have this voice option. So what we can do with it, if I switch over to this preset, I have got the voice set to a preset called pitch down, which if I turn on, now has this added effect. So if
If
we
we
come
come
over
over
to
to
the
the
full
full
view,
view,
we
we
see
see
we've
we've
turned
turned
on a
on a
detuner.
detuner.
So if we come over to the full view, we see we have a doubler, a detuner, a vocoder, ring modulator, filter, and then a delay. So if you want added options for even more strange effects, you can use these on the voice option. And as an added option, we also have in this user interface for the Revelator, we have this preset hotkey option. So if you wanted to on the fly have a preset ready to go at just a single button press, you can enter
Enter
this
this
hotkey
hotkey
preset
preset.
and then on and off at will. If you have something you want to use live in the moment, you can bring that out with just one button press. And then for outputs, we have the option of 4 different mixes. So as you can see, as I go through these, the meters kind of change. If I go back into loopback 1 or loopback 2 here, I can go back to loopback 1 now, and you can see that the changes stay in place. You can have 4 different mixes, and then you can choose by clicking on the headphones to monitor those at any time. You also have the option to switch between mono and stereo on the fly if that's how you wanted to monitor any one of your mixes. And then if we want to apply reverb, we can bring up our reverb send on this first channel and then just make sure the reverb channel is actually up a bit more. You can adjust the room size a little smaller, a little larger, and then just bring it back down if we want that dry signal back. And now up here we have these 3 knobs, which are the main controls that you'll find on the Revelator itself. If you click in the main knob on the unit itself, you can switch between these options, or while we're here, we can just do them by hand. But this is how you'll see them visually represented. And now if we go all the way to the top to this gear here, we'll get additional options, which first allows us to switch which channel gets those additional voice effects. We can pick, I mean, by default, we get channel 1, but we can switch it to channel 2 if that's how you want your setup to work. So you can switch to just having a single preset in case you don't want to accidentally switch between 2 presets. So if we come back, we now see the second preset is faded away. Switching back to 2, we now have 2 presets. And then for even more preset saving or mix saving, you can save scenes, which give you even more options to save different setups of yours, whether it be for podcasts or streaming. You can save them all here and then recall them at any time.
Thanks, Cal, for showing us around that. As you guys can see, it's very similar to the Revelator user interface. I think it's very intuitive. It's all the controls are right in front of you, and I don't know. I think it's very easy to jump into.
Yeah, you can see all the important sections right away. Just sort of the 2 presets, and then switching between what they do is pretty easy. You have a wheel, but also hitting the name gives you that drop down. It's all pretty quick, pretty simple. You have all the fat channel functions right there. They're all simplified. They have these preset names that make it easy to sort of jump into. But if you want to be specific about it, you can just go into the fat channel itself, and it's very much almost exactly like what you see in Studio One.
Hmm.
So it's like what level of depth do you want? The quick version, it's there, but also it doesn't alienate longtime users of Studio One. You have all of that right there.
Yeah. And you're going to get Studio One Artist with this, plus more software and plugins, which is the
Studio
Studio
Magic,
Magic,
yeah.
right? So it comes with that. So you get a lot of stuff. This thing comes in at $199.95. So you get Studio One Artist, you get an interface, 2-channel interface, and you get a bunch of other features that comes along with Studio Magic. So I don't know, the price point is really good.
Mhm.
So not only do you get the interface, you get more than that, and that's why I think it's perfect for podcasters, gamers, streamers, like live, whatever.
If this had been my first interface, that would be incredible. I'm looking at this and thinking, I wish I would have had this already. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and so it's definitely different. It's definitely new, and I think I love the direction that PreSonus is going with this. Um, but let's step back quick. It's got 2 XLR combo jacks on the front, and those are your 2 main inputs. You have some controls here on the back. You have the 2 monitor outputs with the TRS, and then you have MIDI in and out, and then you have a headphone jack there too, so you can monitor yourself. Cal, do you want to just kind of quick take us through these controls here, quick?
Sure. A lot of the functionality revolves around clicking in the sort of main wheel. So if I enter a single channel, you'll have three functions. You'll have the gain, whether or not the phantom power is engaged, and then the high pass filter. And we can sort of switch between them just by clicking in the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back in channel one here. And then clicking in the wheel, sort of, you can see the underline move around the screen.
It's kind of highlighted between the two outputs, right?
Yes.
Or the output, the ones you're trying to switch.
Or the function,
Yeah.
it'll tell you which one it's on. And then if we leave it for a second, or if we hit the center button, it goes back to the main.
Mm-hmm.
And that switches between the blend, the monitor out, and the headphone out. So you can do those all by hand here. And you'll see when you have the universal control up, you can have this change what shows up in the UI. So it's all linked. It's all just super clean.
And once you get the hang of it, you can fly around on here and know what you're doing, know what you're controlling, and get to what you want really quickly.
And even the preset buttons here will affect the two options you get in the user interface in the universal control. So you can have them all set up, but then once you're going, just one button press and you can switch in between them.
Well, Cal, what do you think? Should we show them some of these presets?
I think so. I think
All right. I think they're ready.
yeah.
Okay, so we brought up universal control, so it's a little more easy for us to kind of navigate this. But we've got me on channel 2 and Cal's on channel 1. So he's got 2 up there too, presets, and I have 2 presets. So you're on channel 1, right, Cal?
Yes, I'm over here on channel 1, way over there.
So right now you got just a normal vocal setting. That's what we're using for the main audio for this episode. But you want to change it to something else?
So if I'm going to talk normally here for a second, but then switch over to our second preset on channel 1, which now has the space overload function. And all that is just switchback. And all that was the added voice option. So we have the normal fat channel controls, and then on the end, there's that voice option, and there's a bunch of strange effects you can add on in the moment if you wanted to do like a bit or something.
Yeah, totally. I want to be the space overlord.
So at first I thought this was trapped on channel 1, and really we can switch this over.
Yes.
And now channel 2
Yes.
can have all the weird functions, all the
cool.
all the
Thanks,
effects.
Cal. So go back to my channel. What do I have on me currently? We've got the vocal.
So now we have
the doubler.
So the voice is there.
Yep.
We've got the doubler ready to go.
It kind of sounds like a room to me, but you can change those voice settings to anything you want in there. So you can make things bigger or louder or more wet than dry, that sort of thing. So I'm back. I'm back, baby.
It gives you a lot of glitchy options too. So
Yes.
there's a lot of room for whatever kind of sound you'd be looking for. Like I know that one, I'd almost think like a dungeon master sound.
Right.
If you're doing
right.
like a fantasy show.
Sure, right. Or if you're, gaming and you go into the final encounter or something. Like,
You enter announcer mode and
Yes.
here we go.
Here we go.
Now there's the echo, the stadium.
You can have a lot of fun with this, I think. But additionally, this is good for music, live streaming. You can hook this up if you have, something set already that you have in mind. You can switch to that during the show. You can or play through with everything that way. It's very customizable. I think it's easy to use. So that's who I think this is for, right, Cal? Like this is for someone that wants dynamic processing, but they still need an interface. They want it easy, accessible, and all they need is 2 channels. Not to mention the loopback feature and the playback feature that you could also get into. So if you're still at home, working from home, doing meetings and stuff, you can bring in people and record that or use it for a presentation later on or even live during that time. So it's versatile.
Yeah, I think what this has really done is it's taken all of these great features that are in Studio One and sort of brought them out. So there's not as much of a learning curve if you want to use the functions like fat channel and then the reverb. I'm assuming is PreSonus's room reverb that they use in here
Mm-hmm.
is taking these functions, is bringing them out so you don't have to learn as many functions of Studio One right away. You don't, and I just think it's great because it's not overwhelming for a new user. You have these functions that were already in Studio One, and it's just so much easier to use them now.
I think it's at a really good price point too.
Yeah.
$199.95 is a great entry level to get you in. So this is almost like a gateway interface to bring in people that maybe haven't touched or dealt with processing, but they know about it and they want it.
Mhm.
And so they could have this all in this little thing.
They
I-
might have used an interface before, but
Mhm.
now we're talking about the effects, and maybe they don't know
Yeah.
how the routing might work for that, and now it's just here.
Maybe this is the io24. Maybe they get bigger and bigger, and just but not as big as like the Studio Live consoles, right? Those
Yeah.
are like you don't want to get there because they already have that.
Mhm.
But this is more kind of trimmed down for you.
We're bringing it into the home.
Yes, exactly. Is there, Cal? Is there anything that you think it's missing, or is this hitting the nail on the head?
I think for now, this is just a great step. This is a great sign of what PreSonus is able to do, of really like what they've already had in Studio One, and just bringing it in, or just making it more accessible. Looking at this, it just makes so much sense to have all these features now just in the interface. But I know what you're trying to get me to say and talk about, and
Come on.
hope for the future that this could mean a potential Ampire interface.
Oh yes.
Because and I've said before that if they made an Ampire interface, that would guaranteed get it.
What if they added Ampire to this, or would you want something dedicated?
I think in any form, if they brought Ampire functionality to an interface like this, guaranteed get it. If you're musician, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know other companies have done that before, where they've made a guitar interface.
Yes.
So I don't know.
PreSonus has the plugins. They have the power, and they're showing it off now. They're starting to get it.
Yeah. PreSonus, speaking of them, we really want to send a shout out to them. Thank you for providing us with the io24 to test out and to work through and to be able to show it off to our audience. So we appreciate that. PreSonus, thank you very much. Cal, I appreciate you joining me
Hey.
with me on this episode. Let us know what you think below in the comments. Does this trip your trigger? Is this what you've been looking for? Do you think you'll get one? We would like to know. So leave us a comment below. Give this video a thumbs up if you like, and we really appreciate you watching. And we'll see you around the drum next time. Are you gonna stand that straight up? You make me look slouchy. I have to stand up straight now.
Yeah.
God, what the heck?
I didn't want to sink into the.
You're like, listen, the Revelator is great. The new standard for podcasting. Ayo. It doesn't matter. It all lines up in the end. Oh, Cal, I'm gonna have to sit up here. How tall are you in real life?